Welcome to Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater. Issues and Answers is presented as a public service to New Mexicans by State Employees Credit Union, who have been proudly serving the families of New Mexico locally and abroad since 1958. State Employees Credit Union is ready to help you and your family with all your financial goals. And now, Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater.
Welcome to the program. I'm Diane. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to all of you out there from everyone here at Issues and Answers. On the program today, we're going to give you an update on Horses for Heroes, Cowboy Up program right here in Santa Fe, how it is affecting vets and how it is helping them heal. It's one of the few places that understands the healing power of the horse and how it can be instrumental in a wounded soldier's life. So at this holiday season, we're going to see the gift of Cowboy Up program and how it's affecting our vets. So please stay with us. The Cowboy Up program has been called the cutting edge of alternative healing programs nationally for vets. On the program today, we're going to find out why it is a cutting edge program and how do they know that it's helping the vets. My guests today are with the Horses for Heroes program, Cowboy Up. Rick Iannucci is the executive director. Thank you so much for being part of the program, Rick.
Nice to be back.
And I have Diane Nancy DeSantis, thank you so much for being part of the program, Nancy.
Thank you.
You work on, what, 9 different programs for our vets?
Oh, we have 9 program partners that work with our program, and our mainstay is Cowboy Up. It's a skill set restructuring program.
And that's right here in Santa Fe, actually near our studios.
Yes.
As it was called and I looked at it, it's a unique horseman wellness and skill set restructuring program. What does that mean, Rick, in layman's terms?
In layman's terms, Diane, well, they actually are layman's terms. What we came up with is, I'm a former Special Forces soldier, and what we realized when we started the program, working with horses and working with veterans, was that the veterans needed the horses. The horses were a marvelous bridge between the physical world and the spiritual world, as our Native Americans say. But what we discovered was that where their skills were being told that they weren't applicable anymore, I had a different feeling towards that. I said, no, these are proud warriors, they're proud soldiers, and those skills should be recognized. So what I said was, if you have skills that you've used in the military, don't forget them. No matter who's telling you that they're not applicable anymore now that you're home and you're transitioning into civilian life, we can show you how to rework them. So we took the military skill set, which I knew very well, and I've been training troops all my life, and set them over top of the cowboy skills in the cowboy way, beginning with American horsemanship, and came up with a very unique program called skill set restructuring. And that's what we're doing. We're restructuring, we're rewriting that narrative that they had and replacing those skills with new knowledge.
Give me one example of a skill that they had out in the field.
Well, for instance, when the veterans would come home and perhaps they'd go to the VA or counseling and they'd say, well, forget about your skills aren't applicable anymore. Or they'd come out to the, so I would say to them, I said, look, what's the last good thing you remember you knew how to do before you got blown up and lost your arm or hand or whatever it's applicable to that veteran? And they'd say, well, I was on patrolling. We were out on a combat patrol, we hit a street, we were clearing it, I turned the corner, we were in Fallujah or Ramadi or wherever they were. We turned a corner, and all of a sudden, the next thing I remember is I woke up in Landstuhl Hospital in Germany. I said, great, you remember your formulas for patrolling, the ACOCA formula, key terrain features, areas of observation, all those. Yeah, I remember them. So we're going to show you how to use them to work cattle again, but first you're going to learn American horsemanship the right way. And so they'll take those skills and they'll say, yes, so instead of, for fields of fire, for instance, you don't ride in front of another cowboy when he's working his cattle, okay? So that's fields of fire. You would never walk in front of somebody's and get muzzle flashed, as they say in the service, in front of their weapon. So, you know, to avoid that kind of deconfliction. So those are the kinds of things that we start with, and then we go and
but you gave the example of working with cattle.
Right.
So that was, they're out in patrol in Fallujah,
Right.
but here they are in New Mexico working
Right.
cattle. How does that relate to the working cattle?
Well, for instance, it starts back to American horsemanship, and I'll start with that. So when we're trying to get them a new seat, as they say, and how to sit on a horse and do directional, straight directional riding, for instance, it starts with that. So the first thing is that there's three key elements of this. The first thing is that everything is self-paced, it's outcome-based, and the other part of that is that we do it in small digestible increments where they can understand, savor, and appreciate everything, and then absorb it, because of some of many of them have been blown up. They have traumatic brain injuries. And the third part of that is everything is analogous to a military occupational specialty, a standard operating procedure, or something that they're very familiar with. So, for instance, as I was saying, they're going to ride out on horseback, right? And just say practicing in our arena. Well, many of them are fidgeting over their reins, or maybe not getting a correct direction or something like that. In order to accomplish that, we say, okay, remember bounding overwatch, which is a military term for you never leave a covered position till you understand and acknowledge where your next covered position is. It's not like the John Wayne movies where they just jump up and run out, pray and spray, as they used to call it. You're leaving one position, going to the next covered position. So with that in mind, they get that right away. So they're looking now at this position that they're leaving to the next position that they're going to, which provides them an opportunity to give them a basis for comparison and a direction to travel.
Great. Nancy, what have you experienced working with these vets? What have you seen? How have you seen them change?
Oh, beautiful transformation. For one, soldiers are a lot of times when they come back outside of calmness, let's just say. So very in an area of stress, high anxiety. When they come to work with the horses, they're able to get back into themselves and get to that place where they're calm and relaxed. So that's the biggest transformation I see. They connect to themselves.
Is that because the horse is calming for them, or why? I mean, I believe that's why we're using horses with these injured vets. Yes, we do. We work with them. The horses have an innate ability. They live in the present moment. So when a veteran is working with them, service member working with them, they can't do anything but be in that present moment, because you're with a 1,200-pound animal, and if you're not about your business, other things can happen. So it forces them to be in that here and now. And you, as the program director, what types of programs do you work with them?
Of course, the Cowboy Up program was our skill set restructuring, but we also additionally add our Wisdom Way program, which is coaching with our horses. And I combine the both of them as well when the opportunity arises, because we're always, coaching an individual, because they really have those answers inside themselves. And so you can't lie to a horse. So if I notice that they're not on the same page with them, that they will definitely call them on it. Mm-hmm. And so that gives me the opportunity to present a good question to the veteran to really make them think and get back inside themselves.
Your Cowboy Up program here in Santa Fe,
Mm-hmm.
How long would a veteran be with your program? Give me an example.
Oh, well, actually, when they come through our program, they work and they become part of the family. Many of them become volunteers and instructors themselves. And everybody is very different. We've had some graduates, some veterans come through the program and graduate with 2 or 3 months, and some people a little bit longer because they have a full schedule, they're living their lives, going to school or working full time. So it really varies.
So do they live on the ranch, or do they just, if they work in town, do they come for a few hours? Explain. The
Right.
different,
So-
the different aspects where a veteran could be part of the program.
Yes, we have veterans that are inside the state, and they come up from Albuquerque or Santa Fe, and they can come from all the corners and stay a little bit longer. So we work with the New Mexican veterans as well as those who are outside our state, because we have a bunkhouse that we can house them and work with them at blocks of times.
So the Santa Fe veteran, the Albuquerque veteran, someone from the Four Corners, they come to the program. Are they there just the weekend? Explain how the program works.
So if you're in our day program, you're coming and working with the day. You can work 1 day a week, 3 days, 5 days a week. Okay.
Okay, those are the various options. You can come for just a day or the whole week.
Yeah, or
tailor-made,
you
actually.
can or you can stay overnight as well in our veterans bunkhouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tailor-made, give me the examples of the different
Well,
tailor-made
tailor-made is that
programs.
we have one of our newest graduates, Paul Duran, United States Marine Corps Scout Sniper, is now working on his master's in archaeology at New Mexico State University. Anyway, while he's down there, he's one of our graduates. He'll come up when he has breaks, and he'll spend a week with us. Not only is he refreshing his skills, because we'll do advanced skill sets with these folks, but as an instructor. But if we have it, he'll also teach a class with us. So Paul may come up for 10 days a week or something like that, for instance, just using that example. So they'll come from all over. And so we have one of our Native American instructors, program graduate, Alroy Billiman, lives on the Navajo reservation. He is our first Native American peer counselor. He'll come up and help us with spring branding, for instance, and he'll help mentor some of the newer, younger folks that he may bring 2 guys with him from the res and come out, and we'll start working with them. Again, he'll be an instructor. So everything kind of works together, and it continues. It's dynamic, and it keeps going.
How many horses do you have at the ranch? How many cattle, a head of cattle, and how many vets?
Well,
how many employees?
We don't have any employees, except for we have a gal that's a wrangler that works with us. Her father is in the program. She's no disrespect, she's what they call an Army brat, but she's certainly not a brat. She's our wrangler. So she's really the only one that comes every day that's an outside person that, that comes in that's not a veteran. Everyone else is all veterans teaching veterans. We helped start a ranch on the Navajo reservation with our cattle, so that we're always working with live cattle. Everyone's always learning with live cattle and getting their skills up, so that when we do go to a program partner ranch, we're providing them with a good quality person,
So it's your Cross Arrows Ranch here in Santa Fe. How many horses do you have? How many head of
We
cattle?
always have, our minimum is 6. We always try to keep at least a half a dozen horses on staff, so to speak, because they are our staff. They're our 4-legged instructor cadre. And then, and that gives us a good number to work with, because one of the things that's also very unique about this program is, that may sound like a lot of horses, but it's a compact program in the sense that it's comprehensive. It's qualitative as opposed to quantitative, although we spend thousands of hours working with our veterans, literally thousands of hours, because it takes 4 hours to put a veteran on a horse for 1 hour. It takes 4 of us with 4 hours each, so it's very comprehensive in that respect.
And what type of veteran would like to come to your program? Is it somebody who necessarily has experienced PTSD, or what type of veteran?
Well, I'd like to
Do
say
they need
that
to be wounded? Who needs to come to your program?
All of the above.
All the above.
Generally, yes. And we also work with the active military as well, so both
Yes.
men and women. But we've found, the beautiful thing is that we've found our program to be preventative of post-traumatic spiritual dissonance, or PTS, as post-traumatic stress as well.
Is that something you were able to measure, something that you feel? How did you quantitate that?
Well, we quantitate, there's PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. However, we call it post-traumatic spiritual dissonance because of the soul wound that a lot of combat veterans have experienced. So that is usually given to them when they're at the VA, if they have a PTSD rating. So, but what we've found, like I said, we had some veterans come in the program that didn't have it, that weren't diagnosed with it. And they have found that it calmed them down and worked those areas where they didn't need to seek any type of visits with the therapist at the VA, just so to speak.
Great.
The uniqueness of that is once they come out and they work with that horse the first time, they start getting back in touch with God's creation. The second part, and they start developing that faith in that animal yet. A non-judgmental 1,200-pound animal that's absolutely replicates the Lord's beauty. The second part of that is they start working in our situation, which is camaraderie. We're not a program where you work 50 minutes like most other programs, horses or not, are 50 minutes. Okay, thank you, Diane. We'll see you next Wednesday at 9. When you come to our place, there's no time limit. You come, you stay as long as you want. I cook every day for everybody that's on the ranch. And that's part of it. Breaking bread is a very key element to that camaraderie. The only thing we ask, and we don't proselytize, but the one thing we do demand, or we ask, we implore everyone to say a blessing with us and be thankful for something, and we pass that around the hat. The last.
And what is this? Is this
this is our bunkhouse that we
that's
built.
Beautiful.
Yes, yes.
Very
yes,
inviting.
Yes, it's very inviting. It started out on a sketch on a napkin in our in our house, and in 9 months we built that, and we're able to really provide a safe place and a safe space for these veterans in active duty military, which we have a lot of. But the final thing is after they develop that faith in each other, that camaraderie that you can only get in this kind of an atmosphere. They start developing faith in themselves, and once they develop that faith in themselves, they're able to develop a strong faith in God again.
And one point we didn't raise is that it is free, isn't it, Nancy?
It's absolutely
Tell me about
free.
that, Nancy.
I'm going to tell you it's free. The veteran only has to have the expense of coming there and getting themselves, if they're outside of New Mexico, to our ranch.
Who are your sponsors for the program?
We have private donation basis, basically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's the good
or
hearts.
I write the check.
It's the good hearts of individuals who believe in and want to give back to our nation's heroes.
Rick, I didn't mention in the beginning of the show. Please tell us what your military service was.
I was a special. Well, I served twice actually. I was a Marine towards the end of Vietnam, in the late '70s, mid '70s actually, and had a break in service. Got out. Was a contractor for a while. Went back in the military in '82 and was with Special Forces till '92. So I have an extensive background in training, reserves, this type of thing.
I mentioned at the beginning of the program, Rick, that the Cowboy Up Wisdom Way for Warriors is a cutting edge of alternative healing program nationally. Mm-hmm. Cutting edge because we're using horses. Why is it cutting edge?
We update the memory system. So we're working with the brain's neuroplasticity because our brains change over time. And what happens is trauma changes that brain and it stays stuck in a stress state. So what we help to do is regenerate that, to restructure that skill set, even to using their breath that they learn to shoot their weapons. That's a tool that they have with them to self-soothe themselves and to relax. So then in doing that and focusing on attention works with building new pathways and putting a pathway over and updating that memory system.
And how did you come up with that in this program, Nancy?
I think it was divinely inspired through our horses. And then as we were seeing what was happening and it unfolded, and then our research said, look, this is actually what we're doing and this is how it's working.
Have you shared this with others? I know you've written an article on Clergy Connection. Tell me a little bit about that. And again, how you're sharing this cutting edge work that's so effective.
With the rural clergy, that was just an overshot of what our program is. Didn't really go into neuroplasticity, but I did go into healing energy that the horses offer our veterans, because no amount of talking will get to the core of someone. And so a horse is a really beautiful bridge to get there and to connect those two, mind, body, and spirit, actually three.
Nancy, what do the veterans tell you? Do they come in as believers, this is going to help me? Do they feel that they've heard from others it's going to help? Do they come because this is their last resort, or they just like to be a cowboy? What are the reasons they come to your program? And then what do they tell you along the way and when they leave?
They are basically coming for a soul connection, I believe. And they have expressed to me the healing of which they are looking for. And if I may, I'd like to
Sure.
read a quote from one of our, a sergeant major that came through and stayed with us twice in June and in October. Horses for Heroes, Cowboy Up offers a positive solution that allows us to create new, dynamic, and positive memories to replace or certainly push away those memories of combat. And in doing so, allows us to re-engage with the present, with reality. This eases feelings of frustration and or sadness and replaces them with feelings of accomplishment and contentment, and for me, joy. I consider your program a key enabler of healing, especially self-healing, which is a major achievement and one of the pricelessness of it, because it permits we vets to feel in control again. And that really is captured in a nutshell. So we place the control back in their own hands.
You know, Proverbs 27:17 tells us that as iron sharpens iron, we sharpen each other. And that is part of the cutting edge and uniqueness of the program, is that we're not totally relying on counselors. We're not relying at all on medications. We're relying on self-healing. And not to sound like a woo-woo thing, but it begins with the horses. And as iron sharpens iron, we sharpen each other. And that's veterans working with veterans.
Mm-hmm. What have they told you, Rick?
Well, exactly that. One of the most beautiful things that one of the women veterans said not too long ago, we were watching an autumn sunset at the ranch after a full day out there. We put the horses up and they were eating and everything, and it was just a beautiful night. And she looked around and I said, what's up? And she said, you know, I just have to tell you something. And I stopped on the porch and I looked and I said, what? And she said, I figured it out. I said, what? She said, love lives here. And if you want to choke up a little bit when you try to, you know, we don't take Nancy and I live off my pension. We take not 1 cent from the organization. It all goes to keeping this program free for the veterans. But if people say, why do you do this? I said, I can sum it up in one word. That's why I do it. When a veteran says that, when a veteran comes to me and say, can we pray together? You know, I've come back to my faith. Can we pray together? Those type of things. That is it. And you know, just like the Gospel of John, there's going to be one that's coming. Our work is our witness here. You know, we don't proselytize, but we certainly want to show the face of Christ and the face of that goodness that we've been blessed with to these other vets, and that's how we roll.
That's how you roll. And what they're rolling here right now with the little calves.
We're actually out on the Laguna Pueblo, working with our Native Americans out there on Laguna. They provide our men and women an opportunity to go out and work on the different ranches. And that's one of the beauties of this. That's the other unique part of this cutting edge, is that not only do we teach them, once they go through our 13 terminal performance objectives, as we say in the military, then we're able then to take them out to these program partner ranches and basically do the on-the-job training and be mentored by some phenomenal people that we've been blessed to meet.
The objective is to make them feel whole again, affect their mind, body, and spirit,
Exactly.
Rick. But the skill sets that they're learning, are we expecting them to become cowboys, cowgirls, or use this in other parts of the profession? I mean, are a number of them wanting to be cattle wrestlers?
Actually, as things would have it, is they get to the point where they've been, and we've had several of them working on program partner ranches and have been employed. And that's the beauty of it too, but that's not the actual objective. What we want to make sure is that they've made that transition and they understand that those skills, that they are whole body, mind, and spirit. They understand that they're whole body, mind, and spirit, and that they could actually be. There you go. That's.
They could actually be.
Yeah, there are actually 3 clergy members. There's a Catholic priest, a Native American, and a Baptist minister from. But then they could. We don't care if they go into the clergy after this or
okay,
or whatever.
What are they doing? What have you found? I mean, you've had the program for 7 years. You've said hundreds of vets have gone through the program and active duty. What are they doing? What are their jobs?
their jobs,
Their positions.
are to reconnect to themselves so that they can reconnect with their family and their friends and ultimately society. So if the skills that they learn and restructure is to regulate their own systems.
But they have gone back into the workforce. Some are back in school. Like I said, we have a kid, one of our guys is doing a master's program. That's Father June Ramos and Elroy Billiman. Father June Ramos is a Catholic priest, believe it or not, down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He was a Marine, wounded twice or three times in Iraq, and came out, decided to go back into the clergy. He had been a working monk before that, and then came back in, and he's now Catholic priest, I think, at the Annunciation down in Albuquerque there.
So we're getting them back into the workforce, back with their families.
Exactly. And here's the thing, the other part is that we want them to understand, and I tell these guys that are, and gals, no matter what you have seen, done, felt, no matter where you are on that continuum, there's nothing that God's grace isn't bigger than. So let's get over ourselves and get out there and do just what we're talking about, and that's Cowboy Up.
We have a few minutes left, Nancy. Nancy DeSantis, thank you so much for being part of the program, and happy holidays to you and your family. What last words you'd like to share with the audience?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Rick, you're going to have to, you put me on the spot there.
Well, you'd like them to contact you, I bet. And how do they do that, Nancy?
Horsesforheroes.org is the easiest way to get in touch with us. Go on our website, check out our Cowboy Up blog, learn about us, and apply. We'd love to see you.
And Rick?
Well, Di, it's always a pleasure to be on your thing, and I just like to, this Advent season, as we go into this beautiful time of the year, my favorite time of the year, one of them anyway, I'd just like to take a moment, if you'll pray with us, and that may the power, the majesty of the Father, the compassion of the Son, and the presence of the Holy Spirit be the light by which we walk through this holiday season, today, tomorrow, and forever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Rick Iannucci, the Executive Director of Cowboy Up and Horses for Heroes right here in New Mexico. We know the other programs are popping up across the country because this has been so successful, but Horses for Heroes, Cowboy Up is right here in Santa Fe, so we're very proud to have them and all the work they're doing with our vets. And again, thank you both for being guests on our program.
It's our pleasure.
And thanks for watching. I'm Diane Kinderwater. Make it a great holiday season with your family. We will see you next time, and Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater is presented as a public service to New Mexicans by State Employees Credit Union, which has proudly been serving the families in New Mexico locally and abroad since 1958. State Employees Credit Union is ready to help you and your family with all your financial goals and is the exclusive sponsor of Issues and Answers with Diane Kinderwater in order to inform, educate, and better the lives of New Mexicans. To comment on today's program or to purchase a DVD copy of any Issues and Answers program, visit sunbroadcasting.org or call us at 505-345-1991.